Mind and muscle. The struggle between Rome and Germania. The Roman-Germanic wars were more than just a clash of arms. They were a battle of ideologies, strategies, and ways of life. Rome brought its vast resources, military discipline, and political cunning, while the Germanic tribes relied on their raw strength, fierce independence, and deep knowledge of their land. It was a contest between mind and muscle, civilization and wilderness, and the unrelenting drive for dominance over Europe. Chapter 1. A Clash of Worlds. The Roman Empire, at its height, was a beacon of order, wealth, and innovation. Roads stretched across the known world, armies moved in disciplined formations, and Roman law and governance extended to every corner of its provinces. To the Romans, Germania was the antithesis of this order. A land of untamed forests, fierce warriors, and a chaotic tribal structure. To the Germanic tribes, Rome was both an adversary and a marvel. The Roman legions were disciplined and heavily armored, while Germanic warriors relied on speed, brute force, and their connection to the land. Yet the tribes were not entirely without their own form of strategy. Their leaders, often chosen for their cunning as much as their bravery, devised ambushes and exploited the natural defenses of their homeland. Chapter 2. The Master Strategist Arminius. Arminius, a product of both worlds, exemplified the blend of mind and muscle. Trained by the Romans, he understood their methods and weaknesses. As a leader of the Cherusei, he combined his Roman education with his people's fighting spirit to achieve one of history's greatest upsets. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE was Arminius's masterpiece. Pretending loyalty to Rome, he guided 3 Roman legions under Varus into a trap deep within the forest. The Germanic warriors, hidden in the trees, struck with devastating force. Roman discipline faltered in the face of terrain and chaos, and Arminius's superior knowledge of the forest tipped the scales. By the end of the battle, Rome had lost nearly 20,000 men. This victory demonstrated how strategy and an intimate understanding of the land could overcome Rome's military superiority. Arminius became a symbol of Germanic resistance, though his later assassination by rival tribes showed the fragility of tribal unity. Chapter 3. Rome's Response, Germanicus. Rome's answer to Arminius came in the form of Germanicus, a brilliant tactician and charismatic leader. Determined to avenge the disaster at Teutoburg, Germanicus launched a series of campaigns into Germania from 14 to 16 CE. Germanicus's strategy involved a mix of psychological warfare and brute force. He recovered the eagle standards lost at Teutoburg, a symbolic victory for Rome. At the Battle of Idistavizo, Germanicus lured Arminius into open combat, where the discipline of the Roman legions overwhelmed the Germanic warriors. Arminius was forced to retreat, his coalition weakened. Despite these victories, Germanicus's campaigns revealed the limitations of Roman power. The Germanic tribes could not be permanently subdued, and their use of guerrilla tactics ensured that every Roman advance was met with fierce resistance. Emperor Tiberius eventually recalled Germanicus, ending Rome's ambitions of fully conquering Germania. Chapter 4. The Power of Terrain. The Germanic tribes' greatest ally was the land itself. The dense forests, swamps, and rivers of Germania acted as natural barriers against Roman expansion. While Rome thrived on open battlefields where its legions could deploy in formation, the forests of Germania turned these strengths into weaknesses. The Germanic warriors used ambush tactics to devastating effect. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest was the most famous example, but smaller skirmishes constantly harassed Roman forces. Roman engineers, tasked with building roads and fortifications, found their progress slowed by constant raids. Rome adapted by constructing a network of forts along the Rhine and Danube, creating a fortified frontier that limited the tribes' mobility. This marked the beginning of a defensive strategy that focused on containment rather than conquest. Chapter 5. The Marcomannic Wars. In the 2nd century CE, the Marcomannic Wars tested the limits of Roman strategy and resources. The Marcomanni, led by King Balomar, united with other tribes to launch massive invasions across the Danube frontier. These wars demonstrated the evolution of Germanic strategy, as the tribes coordinated large-scale attacks rather than relying solely on hit-and-run tactics. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, known as a philosopher as much as a warrior, faced the dual challenge of military and political crisis. His campaigns were marked by meticulous planning and a relentless determination to push the tribes back. At the Battle of Carnuntum, Roman legions achieved a decisive victory, using superior discipline to overcome the Germanic hordes. Yet the Marcomannic Wars exposed the fragility of Rome's borders. The tribes had grown more organized, and their ability to challenge Rome directly showed the growing parity between the two sides. Chapter 6: The Human Cost. Both Rome and Germania paid a heavy price for their prolonged conflict. The Roman legions, though well-trained, suffered immense casualties in the dense forests and unforgiving winters of Germania. The Germanic tribes, while skilled in guerrilla warfare, faced the destruction of their villages and crops during Roman retaliatory campaigns. Despite their differences, the two sides were linked by a mutual respect for bravery and skill in battle. Roman accounts, even when biased, often praised the courage and resilience of Germanic warriors. Similarly, Germanic legends spoke of the Romans as formidable adversaries, whose discipline and tactics were both feared and admired. Chapter 7: The Fall of Rome and the Rise of Germania. By the 4th and 5th centuries CE, the Germanic tribes had become more than just Rome's enemies, they were its inheritors. The Visigoths, led by Alaric, sacked Rome in 410 CE, signaling the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Other tribes, including the Ostrogoths, Vandals, and Franks, established their own kingdoms on former Roman territory. This transition marked the ultimate fusion of mind and muscle. The Germanic tribes adopted Roman laws, religion, and governance, blending them with their own traditions. Leaders like Theodoric the Great of the Ostrogoths and Clovis of the Franks exemplified this new era, using both Roman and Germanic methods to build their realms. Epilogue: Lessons from the struggle. The Roman-Germanic wars were not merely a conflict of brute force. They were a contest of strategies, ideologies, and adaptability. Rome's discipline and ingenuity clashed with Germania's resilience and intimate connection to the land. Neither side emerged unscathed, but their struggles shaped the future of Europe. The Germanic tribes, once seen as barbarians, became the architects of medieval Europe. The Roman Empire, though it fell, left behind a legacy that influenced their conquerors. Together, their intertwined histories laid the foundation for the modern world. The story of Rome and Germania is one of balance, mind and muscle, strategy and strength, civilization and freedom. It is a tale of how two opposing forces came together to create a new world, forged in the fires of war. Chapter 8: The Germanic Kings and the Roman Legacy. As the Germanic tribes carved out kingdoms from the ruins of the Western Roman Empire, their leaders combined Roman systems with tribal traditions. This fusion created a new political and cultural landscape that would define medieval Europe. Alaric and the Visigoths. Alaric, the leader of the Visigoths, began his career as a Roman general before turning against the empire. After years of conflict and failed negotiations, he led his people into Italy, culminating in the sack of Rome in 410 CE. Despite the destruction, Alaric's vision was not of Rome's annihilation but of a peaceful coexistence where his people could thrive within the empire. The Visigoths later settled in Hispania and southern Gaul, establishing one of the first Germanic kingdoms. Their leaders adopted Roman law and governance, demonstrating the enduring influence of the empire even after its fall. Theodoric and the Ostrogoths. Theodoric the Great, another former Roman ally, became king of the Ostrogoths and ruler of Italy. Educated in Constantinople, he blended Roman administration with Ostrogothic tradition. His reign was marked by stability and cultural flourishing, bridging the gap between the ancient and medieval worlds. Theodoric's court in Ravenna became a beacon of learning and art, showcasing the potential of a unified Roman-Germanic heritage. His ability to govern diverse populations solidified his legacy as one of the greatest leaders of the post-Roman era. Chapter 9: The Battle for Identity. The Roman-Germanic wars were not only a physical conflict but also a battle for cultural dominance. The Romans viewed the Germanic tribes as barbarians, yet the tribes saw themselves as free people resisting oppression. Over centuries, these perspectives evolved, blending into a shared identity. The role of religion. The spread of Christianity played a pivotal role in uniting Romans and Germanic tribes. Initially a Roman religion, Christianity found fertile ground among the tribes. Leaders like Clovis, the first king of the Franks to convert to Christianity, used religion to legitimize their rule and align their kingdoms with the remnants of Roman authority. Clovis's conversion in 496 CE marked a turning point. His unification of the Frankish tribes under the banner of Christianity set the stage for the rise of the Carolingian Empire, which would claim both Roman and Germanic heritage. Preservation of knowledge. While the Germanic tribes were often seen as destroyers of Rome, they also preserved much of its knowledge. Monastic traditions, supported by Germanic kings, became centers of learning. These monasteries safeguarded Roman texts and ensured the transmission of Roman ideas into the Middle Ages. Chapter 10: The Franks and the New Order. Among the Germanic tribes, the Franks emerged as the most powerful successors to Rome. Under leaders like Clovis and later Charlemagne, they established a kingdom that combined Roman administration with Germanic warrior culture. Charlemagne, the new Caesar. Charlemagne, crowned emperor of the Romans in 800 CE, epitomized the fusion of Rome and Germania. His reign marked the revival of the Roman Empire in the West, though it bore the distinct mark of Germanic traditions. His reforms in law, education, and governance laid the foundation for the Holy Roman Empire, a successor state that would endure for centuries. Charlemagne's empire was both a continuation and a transformation of Rome's legacy, proving that the Roman-Germanic struggle had not ended in destruction but in creation.